All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of the Onside Inside podcast. I'm your host, Corey Tompkins, and today we're honoured to have Mitchell Reardon, founder of Top Build Group, joining us today. Mitchell's path to success in the construction industry wasn't a straightforward one. Starting from a place of uncertainty and doing odd jobs, he eventually overcome the odds and established his own thriving company. Mitchell, thank you for coming in today. I know this is your first one, and I know there's obviously jitters, but don't fucking stress about it.
We've popped the podcast cherry.
So we're very relaxed here, and as I said to you off camera, we're basically just having a chit chat today, and just trying to get some insight for the listeners that are listening. So for you guys that are listening today, buckle in. Mitchell's got a hell of a story to share with you guys, and some tips and tricks, and we'll discuss it along the way. So Mitchell, just start. Give our listeners just a bit of a backstory about you, a bit of a brief on how you started in carpentry or in the industry at all, your journey to get there, and obviously, a bit of a brief on where you're at now.
Yep. So back after high school, didn't really have much of a plan. I kind of just hung around till grade 12 just to go to schoolies, so didn't really have any aspirations per se. Didn't have that's what I want to do. I want to go to uni. I want to do this. I didn't really have that all figured out yet. I was just working at the local pub down at Sanford doing the glassy thing. Yeah. Finished high school, basically just kept doing the pub thing. Yeah. And then got to a point where I was like, right, okay, I'd probably need a bit more of a steady income. Yeah. Worked with my dad in
at what age were you when that sort of clicked?
So I finished high school, turned 17 when I finished high school. So I was probably about 8 and a half. I needed to obviously afford my partying. I needed to afford. I needed to get a job. So I worked for my dad for a little bit, but doing that kind of just butted heads. Don't really mesh well.
What were you guys doing?
So dad at the time owned a printing company.
Yeah.
So I was just working the machines there, like the big presses and all that stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So it's a bit mind numbing, a bit boring. Mate at the time, he was doing the carpentry apprenticeship from school, and basically kind of just drove me in that direction. So we were just coming out of the GFC at the time, so there was a bit of a low point. So it was pretty hard to get an apprenticeship. Yeah. So I think it took about 8-9 months of going to the apprenticeship companies, hitting up builders. Got a labouring job in the meantime, and we were getting paid in cartons of rum and coke to go to the south side of Brisbane because it wasn't close to where we lived. So we had a good little setup with that mob. Obviously getting paid as well, but we were getting paid pretty well at the time. I think it was like $25-30 an hour.
So you hadn't started your apprenticeship?
No. So still looking around, working with this labour hire company. They were like, "Oh, look, we'll try and put you in touch with some builders along the way." But so we were laying grass, we were unloading
just
shipping containers,
pieces,
just random shit like that. Finally got a builder that would take me on. So we got into new homes.
Yeah. What age were you when that happened?
Would have been 19.
Yeah.
19 when I finally got an apprenticeship organised. So hit the ground running there. Worked with him for about a year. It was pretty full on. I remember turning up for the very first day and the concreters were doing meth outside the slab. It was like, what the hell have I walked into kind of thing. And obviously, in that new home construction phase, it's, fast paced. It's, full on, knock the frame up by 10 a.m. Trusses will come in at 11, the normal shit. Yeah. So you do get a good all around kind of knowledge of how, a home works, obviously, by doing that. But I think over that year, I was probably, the run to the litter. There was 5 of us blokes, I think, working there at the time, and I was, 67 kilos. I'm not the tallest bloke in the world, It was pretty hard. I obviously wasn't the most popular.
And how did you go about that? Was that, because obviously you could have done electrical, plumbing, fucking anything and everything. Was it just your mate that sort of did you trial anything else, or was it just just thought fuck it,
it was just him, and he probably sold a good story, when we're finished we could work together. I was like, yeah, cool. We lived next door to each other, we were best mates.
Sweet.
So it kind of just worked out. That I was like, fuck it, what else have I got to lose? I'll just start this, and it was hard 2 years, there was points there that, you'd go home and you'd be almost like in tears from being, treated like, shit.
Yep.
There was like, instances of getting like pushed off the trestles, like hosed down in the middle of winter, clothes stripped off you, just that general shit. Like, I guess if that happened nowadays, you'd probably be.
Oh, you'd hear about it. You'd hear about it, yeah. If it happened these days, TikTok's a wonderful thing.
So
someone
I did
pull their phone out next
put
thing
up with a lot of shit, and then I got sacked. I think because it got to the point where I think the boss, like the other employee, was kind of doing it. It was kind of like he couldn't keep us both there, so we both got the flick. And then I ended up just kind of floating around, I guess, from builders to builders for a bit.
Yeah, so you were halfway through that apprenticeship at that point.
Yeah, I was about a year and a half in, then got into maybe another 2 builders.
Yeah.
And then finally settled with a bloke over in Chermside, and he was doing basically renos and like school buildings.
Yeah.
So stuck with him, and I kind of, from that, he probably pushed me in the direction of like, right, let's actually teach you something, because I didn't get taught, I got taught the basic, just shit.
You were just
I only had like a couple of tools, a nail bag, but I barely got those out, because it was just
so he pretty much said, he said, listen, like this is all fun and games at the moment, but are you going to actually make a career out of this, or are you just going to?
And so stuck with Sean, completed my apprenticeship with Sean, and then it was basically kind of like just went, right, sink or swim.
Yep.
Right, this is you now, you're qualified, so I expect, you to pull your socks up and get the job done. So it was basically just thrown out the big bad world, and then just see what happens from there. And,
did you find that the process was hard the more that you jumped in between from builder to builder during your apprenticeship? That it was a lot harder to get a re-sign up?
I didn't have trouble getting signed up. I think it was the fact that from that previous experience, I was probably a little bit more like, I didn't probably know what to expect because of how it was that first year, 2 years of my apprenticeship. I wasn't guided. I wasn't taught things. Like, it was kind of like you were just, this,
you were
not
there.
Even labourer. It was like, you were just the bottom of the run type of thing. So I guess I learnt more for myself after my apprenticeship than I did any time during my apprenticeship.
Yeah.
Being pushed out the bad world and going, right, you've got to...
They do say that. They say just as long as you're in an apprenticeship, it takes you just that much, it takes you that same amount of time to actually become qualified again.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, once you get signed off, that 3-4 year apprenticeship, once you're qualified, it's another 3-4 years. Yeah. And then you're actually in your stride and you're away.
And then, it was like that pushing, that sink or swim mentality, if I stuffed up, it was coming out of my pocket to fix it, I was there after work to fix it. So it just kind of got that in your mindset, right, problem solving. It, like, you may just sit there and go, right, how can I approach this job? How can I get this job done correctly? So I'm not coming back to fix it. This has to be done right straight away. So, you have to work out the, best course of action to get to that point. Yeah. So I do credit Sean a lot with helping me.
Yeah. And were you on an ABN at that point, or were you just currently just...
I was on ABN, so as soon as I got qualified, he pushed me over to get the contractor's license. Yep. So I did all that, the small business course and all that straight after that. Got all that worked out, public liability, blah, 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 blah. Yep. All that done. And then, worked with Sean for a little bit after, probably about 2 years after my apprenticeship. Yep. And then a good mate of mine, his father used to coach us in football. He was a builder. And we were just chatting and whatnot, and he offered me a job. Yep. And that's really when I hit my stride was with him. Yep. Because of just the general person that he is. He was stern, but he knew how to guide you properly.
The leadership, leadership aspect of him,
And like from him, it was just like from just good stride to next stride.
It was just levels to it.
And it just took me to that new point where it was like I was running jobs, I was organising trades, I was and it was really
he gave you that stepping stones.
And I really found myself there. Like if you went back to Mitch as an apprentice and said this is where you're going to be, I wouldn't I wouldn't have believed you.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of that has to do with like where I am now is probably the driving force is like how it was back then and what I was told, like, you know, you won't be anything, you know, quit now, you know, you're wasting everyone's time. And it was that drive then has got me to this point as well, because it's like, it's not like a screw you, you know, this is what I've got, but it kind of is as well. It's like that, you know, just to show them, like, if I could have them in a room right now and show, look what I've got, and where, you know, where are you?
100%. You're almost like trying to prove, you're not trying, but you're sort of proving it to yourself a little bit as well. You know what I mean? You know, I can definitely resonate with that. You know, same sort of deal. Obviously, I did my apprenticeship a little bit later on, but, you know, 100%. The common, you know, as guys know now, that between, you know, literally, I was speaking about it the other day. What it's like now versus what it was like then, you know, and this isn't one of those cases where it's like back in my day, it's just the clear representation. It's, you know, social media, there's all this other stuff going on now, so it's a lot, not more difficult to get away with it, but a lot of guys aren't doing it the way that they used to. You know, back then, it was very common for qualified guys to say to apprentices and that, like, listen, just fucking quit, mate. Like, there was no encouragement to stay in it. They was almost like, you know, you're not built for this, you know, blah, blah, blah. There was all that mentality. And for the most part, I've had guys even now starting up with us that have still got that happening amongst the community. And I just, it's just shocking. So, yeah, you are sort of trying to prove yourself and like say fuck you to those guys. So, you know, that's pretty much what you're doing.
But yeah, and then from that, I got to...
So how long were you with him?
I was with Mick for about 4 years.
Still on ABN?
Yeah. So basically from the time I was qualified, I've been on ABN ever since. So I've never been I haven't been an employee since I was, an apprentice. So all that sick leave, holiday pay, all that stuff like that, I haven't had that benefit.
Still don't have it.
No, I still don't have it, even as boss. No. But I was with him about 4 years. He helped me get my builder's license. So
beautiful.
Whatever it is. On
How was that?
Yeah, it was good. I'm glad I did it when I did it. So that was in 2018. I went for a builder's ticket.
Roundabout,
so
still difficult, like even back
100%, then. I think I would have spent probably about 35 hours, like write everything out, especially because it's all handwritten and it's like, you know, not just on the internet, you know, typing it out.
I had to do mine 3 times. So I got knocked back twice. And on the final time, that was it. My final time, it was about this thick.
Yeah.
I had it was literally like a book.
Yeah.
Of just like, that's how it was written, jobs, references, everything. And I just said to myself at that point, I was like, listen, if this gets knocked back, I'm done.
I submitted it all that first time, and I think when I first got the application, by the time I submitted it, it might have been like 2 months, 3 months had passed. Yeah. And by the time I submitted it, they changed the qualifications, and so I had to go back and redo to suit their new terms and whatnot. So then I had to take the document back, spend another 15 hours rewriting it to suit their new, you know, qualifications, whatever it is, and then submit it. But then you hear about blokes nowadays and all the work they've got to do. Like, I'm glad I got it when I got it. It just seems like it's 3 times as hard, which it should be.
It should be hard. Don't get me wrong, but I feel like as time goes on, it's only going to get more difficult and difficult, and it will get to a point where the market's capped, like no one else is going to get it, and then it's going to be like, oh, well, fuck, we need more builders and stuff. So it's catch-22. You want to make it difficult, but you also want to make it achievable.
Yeah, 100%,
so it's like,
100%,
I was literally speaking to a guy the other day about, so he's currently doing his certificate 4 and whatever. But when I did mine, I actually did a diploma of building construction. So I skipped the certificate 4 and it covers the certificate 4.
Yeah.
Now, he had a look. It's actually like a 2.5 year course to do your diploma, and you can't actually do a diploma unless you have your certificate 4. So they've changed the requirements. And I said, because I remember saying to him, he rang me and he was like, oh, you said this? And I said, yeah, that's what I did. I said, I did night school for about 12 months, and that's how I got it. And he goes, oh no, they don't even offer, you can't even get in without your certificate 4. And I was like, and I had a look, I jumped on the computer, he sent me the link, and I was like, oh, they've fully changed the requirement.
I did the Cert 4 was like 2 nights a week at the Chumside Bowls Club. I used to get like the the bowls club to make your dinner, so you'd be sitting there with your steak, listening to the teacher go on.
Now write this down, boys.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, this is the answer to page 6. Okay, so that was good, but it was, you know, again, everyone's like, oh, when you do a builder's, like when you do the Cert 4, is it like full on with building? And you're like, it's just like health and safety. And
it's got nothing to do with
it. You're not being actually taught anything different with building or construction. It's all just compliance and health and safety and all that jazz.
Certifications and everything like that.
So it wasn't a hard, 12 months.
It's not hard, but I feel like the thing that I find with guys that don't want to do it now is, as I say to them, technically learning it's not hard. It's the commitment. They don't want to go that 2-3 nights a week. Like, they can't commit.
But if you commit now, and at least by the time in a year's time it'll be finished. But you get to a year's time, and go, gee, I wish I did that because I would have had it by now.
I literally say to all the guys, like, once you finish your apprenticeship, do your certificate 4, right then and there, like, get it done. The sooner you can do it. Because life gets in the way. You get married, you get kids.
100%,
shit gets busy. You don't, like, fuck. There is no way in the world right now that I could go back to doing a diploma at night school. No fucking way that could be done right now. And that's just sheer facts. I would have to wait like 10 years and then do it.
So it's like the worst bloke in the world when you got home.
Exactly. So it's like, for you guys that are listening, if you guys are contemplating, if you guys are coming out of your apprenticeship, or even if you're in your apprenticeship and you're about to become qualified, fucking get in, do your certificate, get it done, and that's it.
Is it all still funded?
CSQ, you can, depending on who you
paid like $250
It's fuck all. It's fuck all. You rock up, you meet a few guys, and you just go there, you know what I mean? Get in, get it done, finished, finito. You don't need to worry about it. Once it's finished, forget about it. You never have to worry about studying again. But if you don't, you'll just go on better money, you'll cruise around, and then 3 years will fly by, you'll meet a pretty lady, and then next thing you know, you got no time, and then you don't want to do it, and then you fucking kicking yourself because you want to progress through your career, you want to get off the tools, you want to become a builder.
Then you want to do that ceiling, and you'll be that 50-year-old guy going, I used to run 16
Exactly. So, but yeah. So fast forwarding, so you did that. You worked with
Mick.
You worked with Mick. You did all that. Yeah. And then at what point? What was the cross in the road when you started up Top Build? How did all that fucking eventually?
So we had Top Build Construction. So that was my little name that I came up with when I first got my ABN and all that stuff like that. So did that. I remember drawing the logo on Microsoft Paint and going yay, and like cut copy and put it by the invoice, like acted all professional.
Yeah.
And then I think the driving force was in there around COVID. I met my future wife, and she was kind of like the driving force behind it because she's an accountant by trade. So it was kind of like, it was just that natural progression, having Hazel there in the background.
Yeah. She's not going to let you get away with
No. And she worked out like, look, it's, better for you to have a company because you have a company, your assets are protected, so let's get you a company. So got the company sorted, done that. And then it was like, right, you got your builder's license, let's get the builder's license attached to the company, become a nominee supervisor,
Yeah.
And then it all just started happening like that. And I was still working for Mick, and I'd taken on a couple of jobs that I'd just gotten through just friends of friends. And I'd gotten a chippy, and he was doing the jobs while I was working for Mick.
Yeah.
And then I was also planning all the trades in the meantime. So I was still working full-time for Mick, but having these 2 or 3 jobs going on in the background where I'd like finish at 3 o'clock here, drive over there, do the demo, whatnot. So I'd had like... so they it got to a point where it was just more jobs were coming in through the word of mouth from that. And it just kind of came to a point where I was like, I think I can actually make the jump and, let's do this. So, obviously Mick was all, go get it.
All right, guys, congratulations. You're halfway through this episode. I hope you guys are really enjoying it. But first, I just want to make a special thank you to Ideal Group Australia. Without them, I wouldn't be able to bring this podcast to you. So special thank you. I hope you guys are enjoying it. Buckle in and get ready to listen to the end of this episode. Were you very much, because I get a lot of guys like DM us and stuff in regards to, how do you get clients? How do you make that jump? You know, you're literally listening to it right now. Like, this is similar to like my story. It's the same sort of thing. You know, for me, same. I was subbing to someone, jobs on weekends, jobs after hours, got an apprentice. He was doing this, doing that, you know, and then I got to a point where I'd say to, you know, the guy that I was mainly subbing to, like, hey, listen, I can only do 3 days a week, 2 days a week. You know, if you need any extra hands, I can do week on, week off. And that's how it sort of eventuated.
Yeah.
So, you know, it wasn't fucking click
No,
your fingers.
it's not like
fucking,
that. No, not at all. It's all just part behind. You know, everything kind of has to fall into that place where it all just kind of starts flowing, and then you just make that natural progression over. And while that was happening, I had a friend, and she was moving her Queenslander.
Yeah.
So, you know, and she was given a red hot go. You know, 27 moving at home on her own. And she did that, and the house removals had let it down because they were going to organise the carpentry, but then they said, "Oh, our carpenter's gone missing," and so I was like, "Yeah, can help you out. Let's get it sorted." So she was pretty big on Instagram about the house, and with all that, and with just the natural, just the videos and the shout outs and blah 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 blah. It kind of just grew from there, and then we were taking on more jobs, and there's a real niche market on Instagram now with like everyone having their little project on Instagram, and everyone's got their little names to their homes and all this, and it was like...
Isn't it funny how that just sort of eventuated?
Yeah, and everyone's like, "Oh, we saw your work on Daisy. This is our house, rah, rah, rah." And then from there, it was like, I just got on Instagram, and it was like, "Right, what are we doing today, guys? We've got, we've got Monday, we're off to Daisy. Tuesday, we're going to Nudgy Nest.
Yeah.
We're going to Sage on Wednesday," and it was kind of like that, and people would see that, and it just grew and grew from there, and then we just found ourselves in that spot of just doing Queenslanders, and I prefer that anyway because I like the thought process, I like the renovation, I like the finished product. Like, I'll get a 1980s brick home across my desk and I won't even look at it.
Yeah.
Because it just doesn't interest me.
Yeah.
Whereas like those older homes, I love the history. I love, there's been probably 5 generations in this one home, and you find those little bits and pieces along the way when you're renovating. You might find something scribbled behind a wall, or like a old coin from the 1901, like all that kind of cool stuff. And I just like finding the history of the homes and whatnot. Like who used to live there. Like, I don't know if you've heard of like the Corley Explorer. So it's basically back in 1977 or something like that. This couple drove around Brisbane taking photos of every single house on every single street. And you can go on this Corley Explorer and type in the street, where you are. And hopefully, because the only way the photos are online if the people in those homes didn't take the photos. So otherwise it's all been published. Yeah. And so there might be a few homes missing because the owners took the prints at the time. But you can see these homes back in the 70s and what's changed and what's new and like all that kind of history.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of homeowners don't know about it either. So it's a cool thing to be like, "Hey, look, I found your house from 1977. Look what's still here. Look what hasn't been here. Look what's been changed over the years." And that's we kind of found us doing that, and then we signed up our first big contract. I remember like getting the email. It was like 10:30, 11 o'clock at night, and we had a project over at Camp Hill, and they, were like, "Yeah, let's go ahead." And it was like 450 grand. At the time, that was like, holy shit. Yeah. Someone's trusting me.
It's always a good moment when that happens.
Yeah, and it was like that first big job, because most of the jobs were like, 100K and below that. But this was the first time of like, someone's actually taking me seriously and, is trusting me with even at the time, it was, it's... Reno that size is probably almost like 600, 700 now, but at the time it was like, this is a big fucking deal. And
just for you guys that are listening too, like as Mitch, like as he says this, it's, as you just heard, he made the transition. He had a guy who was doing small jobs, little renos, bathrooms, like I'm assuming just bits and pieces, like for family, friends. And then obviously it's just one of those things, as he just said, got on Instagram, got that contact, did this, did that, and then all of a sudden, like, it's not just I'll reach out to an architect, price a set of plans, boom. You got to obviously build that network, build that relationship with those clients.
And social media is such a huge thing now. People love seeing, like, you take them through the whole build, you take them from the demo stage, here we are stripping it all out, you show them the future plans, and like that engagement every single day of you posting like pictures, videos, reels, whatever you want to do, it just does, it does grab people's attention, and people like seeing it from the start to the finish.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
They
everyone
get a
posts
kick
up
out of
there,
it.
you know, they're beautiful photos of the finished product, but, you know, they don't see half the time where those houses come from.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you'll have the worst house on the street, but people won't see that. They'll see this beautiful finished product, but I think they really enjoy seeing what actually goes.
Yeah, they want to
into
see
a
the
build.
nitty gritty of it. They want to
Yeah,
see the
yeah,
they want to see
and-
the stuff. Yeah.
And yeah, people even like, it's like watching a TV show and you see your characters every day because, you know, like, oh, how's Kevin, you know, the chippy
Yeah.
guy, because they know him from me, you know,
Yeah.
chatting with him and, you know, posting photos about him.
Yeah.
And then, like, you know, oh, where's Kevin? You know, oh, where
Yeah.
did he go? You know, it's just, people do get kind of like, I guess not caught up, but they kind of get like their attention caught and they're like, wow, what's he doing today? Especially when I was like,
Yeah, they
you know,
familiarise yourself. They familiarise themselves with you, and
Yeah,
it becomes
yeah.
like part of their daily.
yeah, like
routine.
I don't walk around with the camera in my face going, you know, the weird millennial pause.
Yeah.
Talking about, you know, what we're doing today. It's more just like pictures, videos of like, you know,
Yeah.
actual work happening.
Yeah,
And yeah, it's just, yeah, I'm not the kind of guy that's gonna engage like the company to come over and do like the photo shoots that make you look like you're gonna have a seizure because the video is going 16 loops and I'm not throwing a hammer down,
Yeah,
lightning
yeah, yeah.
strikes and all that mumbo jumbo.
Yeah.
Like it's real. It's
yeah.
I guess raw is the way you'd
Yeah.
say. It's just us blokes
That's
working
the
on a
thing.
house.
It's like everyone's got their own niche, and you know the content that you do today is not going to be the content that you do in 12 months. And I feel like that whole like journey in regards to socials, it's like I feel like a lot of guys get caught up in you know
Yeah, like,
they have
yeah.
to have this person, they have to make something great, they got to make it the best form of content. Like you know we've had guys in here that have got really good socials, and you know even they've said like. They're at the point now where you know it is what it is. Obviously, you got to keep on brand. Like your brand is obviously, you know, as you just said. What separates you is you guys are like Queenslanders. You like the journey. You be a little bit raw on socials. Like you know, that's obviously fire to hit. But for the most part, that is your brand. That's what you want to do. Where other guys like to, you know, they're a little bit more. I wouldn't say lazy, but you know, they don't want to be in front of the camera and do that sort of stuff. So
Yeah.
they like showing the finished stuff and
Yeah.
nicer photos and doing those videos. So I guess for the most part, you just got to find what works for you. And
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Like, even with like the finished product photos, it's probably, you know, to a point, it probably is to their detriment that they're not doing all those along the way show, you know, videos and pictures and whatnot, because people do take notice, people do see it and want to know what's happening every day. Like, especially like owners, you know, they'll take that picture and go, oh, look what's happening in my house today. Look what the boys are doing.
yeah, they love
you know,
it.
it's because people ask, you know, obviously people are doing these big jobs, you know, 700, 800K worth of jobs, and, you know, family members and friends like, oh, how's your house going? How's this going? And, you know, people want to be like, oh, well, this is what's going on, you know?
Yeah,
And
they
they
love it.
all that stuff, you
They
know?
love
And
it.
It's, and, like, even just to get followers on Top Build, like, I would, like, lay in bed and just follow. Just follow people. I'd go to Greyer and go, right, who follows Greyer? And go
Yeah.
through them and go, right, and then, you know, you might get, you know, 30, 40% of those numbers back,
Yeah.
you know, in followers. And then even in the last, I think once we hit the 3K mark, like that took a long time. But even going from then, like we've probably done 300 of those new followers in like 2-3 months, where
Yeah.
it probably took, you know, twice as long to do 100 before
Yeah,
that. You
it's
know?
a snowball effect.
Yeah, and it does just grow. Like I don't
Yeah.
sit in bed now like following people. It
Yeah,
just happens.
Yeah.
You know, and I guess other people shouting yourself out as well. You know,
Collaborations. There's heaps of different avenues that you can take.
Yeah,
You know, everyone's
yeah.
got their own thing. Obviously, there's guys out there that got earlier on in the piece back in the prime days of socials, and they got on it early and stuff like that. But hey, each to their own. Everyone's got their
Yeah.
own path. Like for us, I don't even really worry about the numbers. We're just we just do our thing, and you know it eventually comes. You know, but we're all about the community and stuff like that as well. But yeah, man, like, so obviously I'm just trying to keep us on track. So you got that contract.
yeah.
You were then give us a little bit of a thing. So how many guys did you have? Was it just you and Chippy?
So
Did you have was your partner at the time married? Were you guys? Was she just doing all the books?
So at that point, Hazel was like 8 months, 7.5 months pregnant.
Yeah.
With our first. So that was all happening. There was three of us guys. So
Yep.
one chippy and an apprentice.
Yep.
And myself. So basically it was just us three full time.
Yep.
And then I'd get mates to help out when we needed an extra
Yep.
hand, like I'm doing trusses and whatnot.
Yeah.
Because I got two or so builders that we kind of bounce back and forth between.
Yep.
And we use their guys and they use our guys, and it kind of works out kind of
Yep.
nice if you need an extra hand. And obviously, yeah, so Hazel was on maternity leave. And then, well, we got about halfway, we got the trusses up, and that's when she gave birth.
Yeah.
So I was off work for 2 days,
Yeah.
3 days before I had to come back and, steer the ship right again.
Yep.
Because, I think the wrong cladding had turned up.
Yeah,
Not by the wrong order, but just they'd shipped the wrong cladding out.
This happens,
and, like you go like, how did you not notice it wasn't the wrong cladding, or the right cladding, I mean. Like, the house is in chamfer board.
Yeah.
This is weatherboard.
Yeah.
Oh, I just thought you were doing something different.
Yeah.
And, like, like that kind of stuff, you're like, right, so now I've got to give up being with my family, come back to work, get back into it, and just do that. So that was Camp Hill, so we were just slogging away at that. And then, what did we do after Camp Hill? I can't even remember now.
No, so obviously there's a big, there's a big jump. There's a lot of things that people don't talk about when they're talking about the jobs that they're doing, the size of the team. How's your journey been with, systems, processes, employing guys, treating guys, managing guys? How's all that been like?
That is probably one of the biggest challenges we have.
Yeah.
With managing employees and managing subbies and whatnot.
Yeah.
I think even nowadays you do get a lot of, you pay them well, you get paid every week. Like, there's a lot of I'll scratch your back, but then you wait for your back to be scratched back, and you just kind of go, it's a little bit of give, and you don't get the take, you don't get the give back. But we do have a pretty good retention. One of our chippies has been with us since he was the start. He was the bloke that was doing those jobs for me when I was working full time. So he's still there. And then we've got another guy that's been with us on and off for about 2.5 years now. And
all full time, or do you?
Just all ABN.
ABN.
Yeah. We've got obviously our apprentices on wages, but So I think it's just easier paperwork kind of thing, because I don't do the zero, the invoicing, all that stuff like that. I get the
it's a little bit more flexible as well.
So the boys just send their invoice in Friday afternoon. It's paid by 4:00 Friday afternoon.
Yeah,
it's just easy because I can do it in my underwear and having a beer.
So
I can just go and But we've kind of got to the point now where we could probably, to get where I want to be, we need to expand.
So where is that?
So I kind of want to be taking on, because at the moment we were doing just one big reno, and then you have the fill-in jobs in between, whereas I kind of want to be doing 2 to 3 big renos, and then have, the little ones in between that. So,
So you're looking for scale, basically.
We've kind of hit that ceiling where we could take on more, but it probably wouldn't be worth it with the, timings and whatnot. So I do think we've hit our ceiling. And even just you put your ad out there, again, paying exactly what's expected, and you get the whole same results back. I wouldn't get out of bed for less than that. I wouldn't do this. I wouldn't do that. And you're like, or people that just like the post. You're like, what are you liking it for? Do you want a job, or you just liking it because it's a good looking job, but you don't want it? And that kind of stuff like that really just grinds my gears. You're like, why'd you bother liking it? Just the ad's there. You either want a job and you want to apply for it, or why even bother commenting on it? And even on I've tried on Seek, and you get the same thing on Seek. You get blokes. I had one guy apply the other week, and his experience to be a leading hand, he had a diploma in helicopter engineering, and he had worked in a ramen factory. And that's not even me taking, that's literally his resume. And I was
nice.
how does that offer anything that I'm after? But Yeah, I think now too with like labor costs and obviously the what's the word, the shortage of blokes. It's it is harder to get. You're at a point now where you're like, right, do I have to like go on Instagram and start looking through posts of builders who are posting pictures of their blokes, and do I hit them up on their Instagram asking if they want a job?
Trust me, I went down that. I've been down that path. I think the thing that works for us now, like, we have guys, I wouldn't say lined up, but like there's guys that apply to work for us now. And I think the one thing that you can really double down on, like for even the guys that are listening that are in that same mindset in regards to like it's hard to find guys, is just brand. Like we basically just, we pump that, we show our culture and guy, it's funny
they
because
want to work for you.
Yeah, and the thing is the best employees that you'll ever have, they're not going to be the ones that are chasing the money. That's what I've found. The best guys that I've got, 100%, they could leave me, go and chase an extra $2-3 an hour, right? But that's not what they're after.
Yeah.
And even they'll be the first ones to turn around. They'll be like, they don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
What are they going to get? They're getting an extra $100 a week. Like, they get an extra $100 a week, but then they get all the stresses that come with that.
Yeah.
You get a shit environment, shit team. You don't enjoy going to them. There's no fulfillment.
Enjoyable.
That's what I mean. So, like, for me, that's what I've learned over time now is the money is what the money is. This is what I pay, right? But I'm not selling. That's not my selling point.
Yeah.
If you
so
want
I'd rather earn less, but have a good day at work every
day. Exactly. So, it's becoming easier for us now because we do show it to the public. We show that, it's not just me saying it. And, like, even to the point now where we've had a guy recently start and, I just say to him, like, you go do your trial with the team, because the boys will talk. If I'm not there, I know deep down the guys are going to talk numbers. They're going to say what's shit, what's good, what's bad, and it's going to happen eventually anyway. So I just let it happen. I say to them, go and do your trial, right? Go and speak to the boys. Go and ask them every question that you've got in your head. What's the pay? What does he do? Do we work weekends? What are the hours? And they're going to tell you the fucking truth because I'm not there.
Yeah.
And then usually, well, not usually, but I know now that they come back and they go, yeah, no, I really enjoy working here. Like, it's been good. So, like, and, I've got enough guys now, as I say to them, I haven't just got a small team that are going to talk shit to your face. Like, you can ask an apprentice, you can ask the qualified guys, you can ask the lead chippies, and you'll get a feel for it. So, like, I don't really need to do a lot of selling anymore in regards to the brand and, like, what we have. If they're a really good guy and I really want them, I'll sometimes do a little bit. But then it's like one of those things. I feel like if you try to sell too much and you try to, overcommit and, yeah, mate, I'll give you this incentive and it's going to be good. Like, I'm going to do this, that. They've got you over the barrel.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They've got one leg up already and you're fucked. They think that, you can't live without them sort of scenario.
Exactly. And I think that's where it kind of comes into, because they could go somewhere else and could earn more money. But they do know that. Yeah. And it wouldn't be hard for them to find a job.
100%.
And so you do have to, I guess not fight for, but you do have to prove that, you boys do want to stay here.
Exactly.
So, and you do half the time go, right, okay, a pay rise, would that help things, and you do.
Yeah.
I guess,
I always look at it as like incentivizing in other ways.
Yeah.
That's how I do it. Number one, it comes down to the employment side. Obviously, if you're employing people that are money hungry, that's the number one trigger point. If they're coming to you because you're paying better than old mate next door, that's usually not why I like it. But if it ever gets to the point where I can feel things sort of starting to shift, and we do performance reviews, and there's ways that we can track it to sort of foresee it coming.
Yeah.
I usually try to incentivize not with money, because the money's the short-term thing. What's actually the crux of it? And if it's the money and that's the only thing, then we shake hands and we part ways.
Yeah.
I can incentivize with, I've got guys that got kids, whatever they need to finish early. Like, I'm down. Like, whatever you want to do, work it out.
You can be flexible.
We don't work. I don't make my guys work weekends. Yeah. We don't work public holidays. They can take leave whenever they want. Yeah. We do team days and et cetera, all the time. And I'm very, very fucking transparent with my team. Like, I'm very transparent. I I basically, I tell them all honestly, whatever, because the boys are going to all talk.
Yeah.
See, what I wanted as an employer and what I found throughout my time, even as a subby when I was an apprentice, was always the pay scenario. Everyone was always, don't know if I can talk about it. You didn't want to ask anyone about it. It was always this like weird mystery thing.
Yeah.
The boss didn't want to fucking, mate, like keep it on the hush hush. Like, I'll stand at the top of the scaff and yell it. Like because they're gonna fucking talk about it anyway. I've even had it to the point recently where, some guys are on X, and then I even say to them, this is between us, and then little behold, you find out that they find out anyway. So I'm like, I'm not going to get mad at him. I don't care.
Yeah.
Right? But now I know that like it's going to happen regardless.
Yeah.
So.
And like I get the money thing, like, it's shit's expensive nowadays.
Yeah.
And, every little bit does help.
Oh, yeah.
And I get that. And it's like, but you can only go.
You can only afford what you can afford.
Some people only have a certain point where their value and what you get out of them surpasses it, and you go, well, I don't want to pay you anymore because I don't get that back.
Yeah.
So, that's just money out of my pocket.
Yeah.
Because I'm not getting that same.
Or do you love the if you pay me this much more, this is what you'll get out of me. I've had that happen to me before where guys have been like,
trust me, man, trust me.
You're like, if I go on this much money, like this is what I'm going to get. And I always say to them, how about I make you a deal? You give me that for 3 months, and then I'll give you the money, eh?
Yeah.
And they're always like, but it's one of those things as well. Over time, like with us, we've instilled, like, that's not really something that I even have to worry about anymore. But the guys that are in that thing, you just got to fucking wean that out. Like, there are good guys out there. There are guys that you don't need to pay a fucking shit ton, because at the end of the day, even in my game, there is a glass ceiling. You can't fucking pay, like...
No,
I think you remember like 12 months ago, people put up ads like, I'll give you $90 an hour, right?
Yeah.
On wages. Like, I remember seeing all this shit, and I had a big meeting with all my guys, and I say, listen, I'm no dummy. You guys are all seeing what's going on out there with all these rates going on. I said, let me give you the harsh truth, the reality of what's actually going to happen. You go and jump ship, they'll use you for 2 weeks, and they'll say, I haven't got any more, right? Because they're putting this large figure out there to grab you, and then... when you're done, you're done. They're just going to move you on, because no one in this game can facilitate that at what we're doing.
Yeah.
Right? And that's the fucking reality of it. Like, it's the same in construction. There is industry rates that we all have to adhere by, right? You can own, like for you, for instance, right? You're not going to price, if a client comes to you with a reno, for a fact, maybe they got another builder that they're checking pricing on. Not 9 times out of 10, they might, right? You're not going to price yourself fucking completely out of the market, right? Regardless of brand. Like, I know guys that have got the best brand in the world, but it doesn't matter. They're still going to price. Yes, they might be slightly higher, but at the end of the day, there is fucking an overall market that we all need to adhere by. And if your employer or a potential fucking job, and it sounds too good to be true, let me tell you, it fucking is. Yeah, it's
that's what drives me insane too, because everyone's like, I'm on $70, I'm on $80 an hour. And you're like, cool, man, sweet. So you want $80 for me. So then I've got to put my markup on top of that. And then I've got to pay your super. Then I've got to pay your GST. Then I've got to, make my little bit back from that. So basically I've got to charge you out at, 155, 160.
It's not going to work though.
Yeah, and then I've got to go, right, so you're here every single day for 5 days a week for, say, 4 months at a time.
Yeah.
So that adds up. What's that? 120 grand.
Yeah.
And then I've got to put that into my bill and go, right, your job now costs...
How can you justify it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The reality is that's never going to happen.
Yeah.
So, like, I always say to them, like, if they're like, I need $80 an hour, yeah, no worries. I'll give you 3 hours a day. Like, because who's going to be able to afford that amount of money on those style jobs, resi jobs, that amount of money for fucking, 40 hours a week?
Yeah.
Every single week for 4 months, like
our labour costs at the moment, it could be anywhere up to 11 grand a week.
Yeah.
For us full time.
Trust
me. And you're saying, right, you've got to then justify that to the homeowner, who then shells out $11K every single week to pay for you to be there on site to do their reno, and it's just the job. With the way labour costs and material costs have gone, it's got to a point now where it's either we're the new normal and everything else has to catch up, and we've just gotten there before everyone else has. Like, just Australia itself. And like people are spending $1 million on their reno when that same reno 2-3 years ago probably would have cost $650, $700. And you're literally paying the price of just buying a new home somewhere else to renovate this bucket of crap. Why would you spend $1.2 million on a reno when you could buy an investment property for the same price?
That's exactly right.
And it's just obviously you've got to then turn into the salesman to go, no, you do want to do this. Whereas like if it was me in their shoes, I wouldn't want to do it because I'm like, why would I pay that much money? And it's just like, because obviously as a builder, you get all your rates in from your trades and your subbies and whatnot. And then you've got to put your markup and profit on top of that. And you go, right, I got a quote yesterday for a pool, stock standard pool, water tile edge, $117,000. So either the bloke doesn't want it or he's just bonkers. So I'm like, right, so then I'm going to get a $117,000 pool. Then I'm going to put my markup on top of that. So by the time everything's said and done, that pool is going to be like, what, 130, 140 grand? And then I'm going to go to the client and go, I got your brand new pool. It's $140,000. What do you reckon? Like, to me, that sounds ridiculous. I would walk out laughing if someone tried to sell me a $140,000 hole in the ground with water in it. Like, it's just insane. And it's going to get to a point where people won't be able to afford it and they will pull back and the arse is going to fall out of the whole industry because of what everyone's been charging. Like everyone's been having a great time charging their rates because the people have been paying it because they have to pay it because they want their work done. And as a builder, all you do is get them in, put your markup on top, and then you sell the whole job to them. And at the end of the day, all these subbies and trades are making more money for less time on a job than you are when you're the bloke putting your neck out.
And not only that, but you signed the fucking deal as a lifetime deal,
Yeah.
You're getting the calls forever.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just, it's one of my little things at the moment. It's like, why should I put myself through all this stress and bullshit when, a concrete polisher could be on site for 3 days and earn 14 grand?
Yeah.
It's, and again, it's not 14 grand. It's probably about 20 grand by the time everything else goes on top of it. And it's just you constantly trying to sell this, because I know with some builders, they just send a quote out and it's just got the one figure on it. There you go, that's your house, $960,000. Whereas mine's all broken down, the plumbing costs this much, the electrical costs this much, it's all shown there for the client, because if I was spending $1 million with someone, you'd be bloody expected to be, showing where the money goes,
Yep.
And I try and be as transparent as I can because it is a big risk that someone's taking. It is a lot of money. It is a lot of, blood, sweat and tears on their end to then go, right, I'm going to trust $1 million of probably financed money. So money that they've got to pay back for 30 years. So, obviously that $1 million is probably worth 1.6, 1.7 by the time interest is put on top of it. It's not short change, not, tiny change. It's big money.
And it all just stems from like labor and all that sort of stuff. And obviously this, the rate, like interest rates, and I get it. I get it. But as I explained to all the guys, like it's a lot easier to give someone a pay increase, but good luck trying to have the conversation with someone when you try to give them a pay decrease. It's not going to happen. You're just going to lose. They're just going to lose their job.
Yeah.
Right? They're just going to lose their job. That's why I say to all of them, I said, giving a pay increase is easy. Right? But then when push come to shove, when expenses hit the roof and, we can no longer afford it, the most expensive people are going to be the people to go first.
100%.
So, but hey, anyway, all right, keeping on. No, it's been good. We've crossed off heaps of shit. So, keeping on. So now, obviously, fast forward to today.
Yeah.
Give us a little bit of an insight in regards to what it sort of looks like at the moment. What's your structure like? How many guys have you got currently at the moment?
So we still got the 4 of us.
Yeah.
We've got a bloke leaving soon to go to another company, so we're in the process of trying to find some new subbies.
Yeah.
I'm looking to put on two blokes.
Yeah. And will you eventually ever shift that over to like a full-time setup, or do you love running that subby model?
I think I like the subby model.
Yeah.
Obviously, I think this might stir up a few things. I think when people are on full time, I think they have a bit of a idea to, you know, if they're sick or if they want to go somewhere, they know they're going to get paid. And like, you know, power to them, you know, nothing wrong with that. That's what it is. But, you know, I do feel there's a mentality change when you are a subby, because you know that if you don't work, you're not getting paid.
Yeah.
So, you know, you do turn up. You got a bit of a cold. You're going to turn up.
Yeah.
Because you have to, you know. But at the same time, like, you know, I'm not the bloke that's going to be like, you've got to come to work and you've got to be here. You know, if you're sick, you're sick. You know, it is what it is. You know, and we'll work it out. Like, it's fine.
Yeah.
It's just when people know they've got sick leave banked up, when they know they've got holiday pay banked up, when they've, you know, all their annual leave, they know that's there.
They're going to use it.
They might be like, oh, you know, I'm a bit tired from that weekend. You know, I might just stay in bed.
Yeah.
You know, and I remember I got another mate, and you know, he had a carpenter, and it was the same deal. It was, you know, he'd constantly be sick, he'd constantly be away, and I was like, mate, just try it, put him on subby rates, and see what happens. And it was almost night and day.
Complete polar opposites.
Yeah, because old mate had to turn up to work to get paid.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the subby model, I think it's just easier.
Yeah. That's what I mean. Each to their own. Like for us personally, we all our staff are on the books. That just suits me a little bit better, and I think it's more, you know, security at my front as well. You know, I know how many guys I got. I know they're not going to leave me. Like obviously they can leave, but I just mean that's just like for us anyway. That's the model that we feel comfortable with running. But yeah. So now we're coming to the end. We've been talking for a little bit now. Time has gone like that. But we're coming to the end of this episode anyway, and I feel like there is a lot more stuff that we can talk about, and I definitely feel like we should do a number 2. But on each podcast we have a little bit of a segment.
Yeah.
It's a fire round segment. So I ask you basically 5 questions, and you just got to answer them the best that you can.
Yeah.
So they're all relative to
general stuff.
just general stuff. All right. So here we go.
Yeah.
Would you rather work in the scorching heat or the freezing cold?
Scorching heat.
Ooh, okay. See, a lot of guys say they like going in the cold and they can rug up. When you're in the heat, the only option is you just take off all your clothes.
Yeah, that's true.
All right, so scorching heat. All right, morning person or night owl?
Night owl.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, best piece of advice you've ever received?
Oh, probably just the sink or swim. Just get there and get it done.
Yeah. Just give it a go.
Yeah.
You got nothing to lose.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right. Favorite construction project you've ever worked on? Favorite job?
Probably my house.
Your own house? Yeah. Beautiful. All right. And one thing you can't live without on site besides tools?
Radio.
Yeah.
Yeah. Music,
Beautiful.
Bluetooth.
All right, guys. Well, that's it for this episode. I feel like it's gone in about 5 minutes, but it's actually been running for a while. So, you know, I hope you guys that are listening got some insight into what happens on site with Mitch and his team over at Top Build. So, yeah, Mitch, thank you for coming in.
Thank you very much.
We'll definitely have to run this back and do another episode. But, thank you for coming in and sharing, you know, a little bit of your journey, some, you know, tips and tricks for you young guys that are listening anyway. There's definitely some golden nuggets in there. And, thanks again.
Thank you very much.
Hey guys, thanks for listening to this week's episode. If something hit home for you, it would mean the absolute world to us if you could like and share this podcast with someone else that would benefit from it. Tune into next week's episode, as this will be one that you don't want to miss.